Vin.
I'm sorry.
And this is Bob Dylan, Masters of War. I wonder what that's going to be about.
Oh no.
Speaking of which, for timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up in Middle America with Vin and Sori. Very interesting conversations the last week and a half at that particular area of the intranet. So we've got that, and now we're listening to Bob Dylan, Masters of War. There are multiple ways to get your song reviewed, dear listener. My favorite way is the community option, $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon, where you will meet the amazing Leo of the Village, Pony of the Village, etc., etc., etc. You pull your points together, and that determines what songs we do. Now, if you're a filthy
You also get
capitalist,
to meet up with me because I am the Patreon person. I will message you back when you message me.
99.99999% of the communications on Patreon are Sori.
Unless you say something super significant, then I send it to Ben.
Correct. You just set yourself up because now you're saying, oh, that was really insignificant. They won't be mad.
I'm not like you.
So,
I don't feel bad.
so then, if you're a filthy capitalist like Sori, she doesn't feel bad because she's a capitalist. $125 gets you straight to the head of the line, and you get to determine what song we do. If you do that 3 times, you get bumped down to the $75 rate, which I'm pretty certain Armando is.
Oh yeah.
We don't cut our videos up, like other reactors will pause between, every 30 seconds or so. And shout out to them, you need to subscribe to them. The reason they do that is because if you play the song all the way through from front to back, you do run the risk of, you're guaranteed demonetized of the video, but you're also 50-50 chance that your entire video will be blocked. So I'm hoping
that's not what happened.
That's not the case in this particular circumstance. And with that, dear listener, I bid you adieu. Well, I don't bid you adieu, but
here we go.
God almighty.
I mean...
Man, Bob Dylan was on some gangster shit.
Yeah. But he's talking about the higher-ups that, won't send their kids to war, but will send all the other kids, right? That's what we're talking about here?
Yeah. Yeah, the age-old, What?
See, I don't...
Why do they always send the boy? Go ahead.
Yeah, I totally, I totally can hear what he's saying. And feel the frustration of that. And that, like, what he's saying, like, I know it sounds extreme, some of the stuff he's saying, but then when he's like, no, I'll stand over your grave till I'm sure that you're dead, like...
Yeah, that's pretty... I mean, what are you saying?
No, I'm saying that I can totally understand those feelings now that I have boys. Like, don't send my boys off to fight your stupid ass wars because you want more oil or you want, whatever. Like, if it's... I do understand if there's something, like, let's say it's the Holocaust, you know what I mean? And, like, you've got to stop that guy because of what he's doing to those people. Like, something like that. Like, I don't want to see my boys die, but if my boys went because they believed in that and they believed that they wanted to help set those people free, like, and, they didn't make it home, like, I would be heartbroken, but I would be so damn proud of them. But don't send them off for some stupidness, some political whatever, and just ship off our boys. And you don't care because you're hid away in your mansion and you're not sending your kid. What, Trump got off because he had little bone spurs or what was the thing? There was something that he had, and so he wasn't going to go. And I'm pretty sure bone spurs can be taken care of, and you can go.
Well, Trump wasn't about that action.
Yes, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
about that action.
Being
What?
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Something in me changed when I pulled Orion out of my womb. I'm telling you, something changed, and I'm like, what the is going on around here? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Don't take my energetic.
And the thing is, you had the draft and all that stuff in Vietnam. This was written in the early 60s. You had the whole lottery thing and for what? Like, I hate using the term, like, wasted war or whatever, but trying to find a single lining around the Vietnam cloud is very difficult to do. But, when he says, I want you to know I can see through your masks, this completely changed the complexion of the song to me.
Why?
Because it brought us in, and he wasn't talking about this, but it brought me into 2020 with the masks.
Oh.
And then
I thought of Slipknot.
A lot of times on Middle America where I'm like, look, Candace Owens is saying all this incendiary shit on Twitter.
Yeah.
Trump is saying all this incendiary shit on Twitter. I'm like, these people are not people that just go shopping in Walmart. Mm-hmm. They're not going to get hit across. Trump has layers and layers of security.
Yeah.
All these Fox News people, they've got layers of security. All of these leftists that are saying all this crazy stuff, they pretty much are instigating this culture war that we're caught up in.
Yep.
And they know they're not going to be victimized by it, but they create all of this angst and conflict with each other, with us. Fox does it for ratings, CNN does it for ratings, politicians do it for power because then you can jump on the culture war bandwagon so you don't really have to do anything for the citizenry because nobody remembers what we were worried about, 11 months ago. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares anymore because now we've got this type of situation. Everybody's distracted, so now it's one social justice party versus another virtue signaling party and all the rest of it. But the point is like, these people on Twitter, all these blue check people that are saying all this incendiary nonsense, they're completely safe.
Yeah. And
they know that they're safe. But it's us who are on the street. And now you've got street soldiers on both sides. Like, they killed... Yesterday, a Trump supporter got killed. So, like, literally, they just rolled up on dude and pow! Shot him. Broad nightlight. They just bang! And he's dead. And it's like... Obviously, it's in my mind, I'm like, this has to be retaliation for, a couple nights ago. And of course, the guy, the main suspect is like, I am Antifa 100%. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's what y'all do. So it's like, now we're descending into, and we talked about Civil War. Like, if you look at the Middle America, we actually have an episode called Civil War, where, we were looking at really incendiary, you've got politicians doxing people. Politicians are doxing people, printing their name and their address and all that shit. Remember when those people broke through the gated community and the two white folks were, and it's like, that whole situation was a perfect example because the governor or whoever she was in that gated community, and she was behind that gated community with all her, in her mansion or whatever, and she doxed. She was a right wing. She doxed all these people, real names, addresses, all that jazz, and it's like these people could be opening their door to. Yeah, exactly. So then those people said, "Oh yeah." So they kicked down her, little gate thing. And then you've got this other family that has nothing to do with it. And they get caught up in the mess. And they're looking like they see a whole mob of people. Their security's not there. Of course, now they're taking out their guns. And now you've got these two sides that are clashing. And the person who's responsible is up there chilling in there. And no repercussions for her. When she created that entire situation. She created the whole thing. And then, of course, Trump gets up there and he's,
That lady's eyes look wild. So I can't believe she didn't shoot somebody.
She was, God's grace. I mean, she was scared to death, and justifiably so.
Obvious.
Justifiably so. I mean, look, man, that's a big ask to ask somebody in a gated community. Hey, you're going to get a gaggle of 50 people kick down the gate and just march forward. And now you've got regular people in the crossfire because of the bullshit that this one politician did. And nobody holds them accountable. And of course, Trump puts out a, rest in peace to the guy that, his last name is Danielson. Rest in peace, big homie. But, Trump is putting out rest in peace. He's like, he didn't say anything about, condolences to Jacob Blake's family, condolences to the kids. I can't imagine what it'd be like to have your dad shot 7 times right in front of you, whether or not he was guilty or whether or not he had a gun. The Rittenhouse situation, those 2 people that died, they're grieving families. No matter what you say about those people and all the justifications that those people, whatever, he didn't say, oh man, that's terrible for the families of these 2 who lost, their loved ones and yada, yada, yada. We can find our own collective humanity even if we don't agree politically. None of that.
Yeah. And
then this guy dies and then, rest in peace. So it's it's just clear that he's on a side, and it's I don't know if there's anybody around him. I don't know if there's anybody that can say, hey, Mr. President, blah, blah, blah. But it's these folks, and Trump is one of them, they're stirring everybody up into this wild, frothing at the mouth frenzy.
Yep.
And now you got people that are looking across the street at their own fellow Americans. That's the thing that's killing me right now. Remember, I was going to shoot a video on the Middle America thing for the most recent shooting, but it's I remember 9/11. I remember, after 9/11, how everybody was. I remember Johnny Michael Spann. He was an agency guy. He was, one of the first KIA in Afghanistan. And I remember, the whole world stopped for this guy. And then, the first couple of KIAs, the whole world stopped. Oh, man, an American is dead. That's terrible. And it was, this beautiful thing where people, really genuinely love their country. And now you fast forward, 19 years ahead or whatever, and now you got people looking across the street, shooting their own fellow Americans, and then people celebrating it on both sides. And the hypocrisy is amazing. All these right-wingers are yeah, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, blah, blah, blah. They're mocking, and then everybody is seeing this shit on Facebook and all the socials. So now the Antifa folks, they got somebody. So what are they going to do? They get in the street and they say, I'm not sad that a fascist died. Good for that motherfucker. So it's the night the dude died, she goes and says that, and the crowd is yeah. And it's wow, bro. People don't realize we're at war with one another now. It's insane. And it's almost like the Chicago rap scene, where somebody dies there's all these gangs, and somebody dies, and then the rival gang will make a song mocking the guy that died. You know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons Chicago has so much cyclical violence. Rest in peace, FBG Duck. But I mean, this is what they do. Like these gangbangers, like they're killing each other, and then they're mocking each side whenever somebody loses somebody. Mm-hmm. And now they've got a scoreboard and all this craziness. And so it's like now that mentality is being mainstreamed, and the powers that be in the media, the powers that be in the political sphere, Biden obviously can't provide any coherent leadership because he's probably thinking like, you know, he'd probably say some craziness like, oh man, there's all these riots in the street. We got to call up Dr. King and have him do a video presentation to piece everybody out, because Biden probably wouldn't know what year he was in.
I know.
And so it's like, man, these people on the left, I remember, so that's the right wing, you know, with Trump and them. But I remember, you know, Reza Aslan, where after an active shooter situation happened, Kellyanne Conway was saying, come on guys, we can come together as a country, blah blah blah, we're gonna be okay, and you know, and yeah, and I'm, you know, the protests and the riots, okay, that's bad. And then she was talking about, you know, we're gonna eradicate the disease of COVID or whatever, we're gonna work on it. Then Reza Aslan, who's a very, very famous guy, says, you are the disease we need to eradicate. It's like, that's literally talking about threatening this woman's life. Yep. And of course Twitter does nothing. But God forbid one of these right-winger, you know, neo-Nazi, I don't care. He basically said that she should be killed. Oh, yeah. On Twitter when she was trying to say something conciliatory and trying to bring us all together. She was trying to be a voice of reason in the maniacally insane Trump, you know, situation. And then he goes off and says that nonsense. Because I don't know if he puts it together, but people are watching this shit. So, like, you got all these right-wingers that follow Kellyanne Conway. She says something, you're like, oh, that's cool. All right, you know what? Let me think about that. And then, boom, right under that, you see Reza Aslan. You're like, oh, man, fuck those people. We're going to kill them. Like, peace is so difficult to maintain, to achieve and maintain in the current zeitgeist that we're in. And it was just one of the most disheartening moments. Like, here she is, Trump administration, she knows she has influence, so she was trying to piece it up. She was doing what Trump should have done. Yep. But she understood that Trump wasn't going to do it, so she took upon herself to do it. And then instead of Reza Aslan saying, okay, I don't like this broad, she's responsible for getting Trump in office, but I can rock with this. Let me retweet it and say, hey, I hate everything she stands for, but on this particular situation, let's come together, guys. None of that, and nobody's respective groups will ever hold their group accountable. So, like, Trump, none of his folks will hold him accountable. And on the left, when Reza Aslan does all this and whatever, they always come up with some weird, silly double standard to justify it. And I'm like, we are the ones going to Walmart. We are the ones on the street. We are the ones who, when I say we, I'm talking about just regular, everyday Americans. We're the ones doing that. And now you've got a country of people who don't trust each other, who there's this mass thing happening. So it's kind of like a weird, like, already separation, already more than we're already isolated. We've got all this stuff, like, swimming around in the ether. And then on top of that, you put all the guns. You have 328 million Americans and 400 million guns. You put all that together, and it's like none of these people are like piecing it all together because they want to win, and they want to win by any means necessary, whether it's power or money or whatever. And they know that they're going to be protected, that their prissy gated community neighborhood is not going to experience anything. And if they do, I'm sure after that whole situation with that couple that was waving the gun, I'm sure all these guys invested in more security and things of that nature so that shit doesn't happen to them again. It's just, the whole thing is a giant mess. And so, like, I interpreted the whole thing as what's happening in our country right now, where elements of the media, elements of the political apparatus are instigating all this anger and angst, and like people now like genuinely hate each other. Because when you start dropping bodies, and this is a crazy thing to me, like when you're at war, you don't do that shit. You go out there, you do what you gotta do, you kill the guy, blah blah blah, and you move on. You don't drop a bunch of leaflets and say, hey, we killed it, and make it fine. Like, now, Psychological Operations did drop a bunch of leaflets that had dead people on it, but they were saying, you want to end up like this guy?
Right.
Because on the front, it had the guy just, like, laid out, and then on the back, you turn it around, and it's the same guy, and he's eating with his family. And it's like, nobody questioned, how the hell did you get that when he was eating with his family? But like, so that type of thing, sure. But there was no like, ha, we killed you. Yeah, like, as soon as Rittenhouse killed all those people, or those two guys, they were all, yeah, great, and Tucker Carlson, all these other ridiculous people saying all this. And it's like, do you not realize that half the country is looking at this kid as a murderer? Not to mention the fact that this kid walked right by the police officers after he bodied two people. Mm-hmm. Do you not realize that now that regular, left-leaning whatever, look, all these people are crazy. These people in Antifa are absolutely insane. And the far-right when people are insane. And so it doesn't take much to push them off that ledge.
Yeah.
But the people who poke the bear and push people over the edge with the crazy rhetoric never want to take responsibility for it. Ever. They just never do. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, wow, like we've lost our collective humanity. This guy's shot dead. He's got a family, I'm sure, and people that love him. Never going to see him again. And the video, apparently, the dude just rolled up a pow and then booked it. It's like, wow, man, wow. And then what happens is people start engaging in all this victim blaming. They're like, well, he was agitating, he was upsetting them. This crew has a hit. They had a conflict with people with the same group last year. They literally on schedule. It was like the Prayer Patriot thing or whatever. We actually covered it in Middle America. So they went again this year, whatever, and they've got the Confederate flags and all this shit. Okay. Well, people are fresh off of losing two of theirs on camera, and they've been imbibing, at 4 or 5 days straight of you creating memes mocking the dead. So now they just killed one of yours. So now how are you gonna respond? You're gonna say, fuck that shit. I'm gonna bring my rifle, blah blah blah. It's just like, it's insane. And the president's just watching all this happen and he's not providing any leadership. Like, Mr. Trump, it would be awesome if you would take out if you would take out like a Facebook Live, YouTube, coordinate Facebook, YouTube, NBC, ABC, whatever, and fucking speak to the country. And don't take a side.
I mean, he could easily do that. He's just not doing it.
Yeah,
he knows how to. He's been using social media since the beginning.
Correct.
He used it as a platform every time that he needed to get himself out there. Right. And he's not doing it on this, so it's obvious.
That is such a good point. He got like $1 billion, like $500 million or whatever, basically earned attention or whatever. I don't know how the calculus is. But you're absolutely right. When it came to him wanting to manipulate social media to get what he wanted, he knew how to do it. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to like healing the fractures in our country right now, not only is he not doing it, he's doing worse. Mm-hmm. You cannot RIP that guy and not RIP the other ones. Like, you take it, it's insane. Like, as a parent, and of course he's not our parent, but as a parent, like, we see kids and, sometimes groups of factions, they'll factionalize, and you don't take a side. Even if you think somebody's right or a faction is right, you're not going to take that against your own kids, because then what's it going to benefit? And it's just like, man, he's not thinking about that at all. And, he's got to bear ultimate responsibility as a president. Mm-hmm. But definitely the media, left-wing media is doing this shit, right-wing media is doing it, and this song is like railing against those types of people. That's why it's like still relevant now. Mm-hmm. But at some level, we got to take responsibility for ourselves and be like, yo, how did we so easily get swayed by this obvious propaganda from the left and the right? How did we let ourselves get to this point? Mm-hmm. Like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and it doesn't even matter what you see. That's the other thing. I'm like ranting. It doesn't even. The thing that's mind-boggling to me is it does not matter even if you see it on camera. Whatever tribe you're in, you're just gonna go with it. So Blake gets shot 7 times on camera. You got all these right wing. Oh, I don't know. You should have followed the commands. Blah 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 blah. Like, doesn't matter. Like, you're like, yo, this is excessive. You shot him 7 times. Well, but then on the left wing side, this kid, Kyle Rittenhouse, whatever his name is, was clearly scared and had a right to be. Mm-hmm. And people are trying to act like, I was just listening to Michael Moore with actually like the governor of Kenosha or whatever's on the show. And like, they're calling this kid a murderer, blah, blah, blah. And they're acting like none of us saw the video. Mm-hmm. And we saw the video. There was a gunshot behind him. 2 seconds later, a dude threw a bag with some sort of thing in it to injure this kid. And then he aggressively attacked him, reached for his weapon. He dropped one guy. Then he called for help. Nobody was there, so he books it. And then all these people start coming after him. One guy knocks him on the head with a skateboard. The other guy literally tries to grab his rifle. That's when he got shot trying to grab kid's rifle. But you show this to people on the left. No, he's a murderer. He's a murderer. No self-defense. There's no reasonable. Like, what? It doesn't. But it doesn't matter what you see, because now we're all whipped up into this frenzy, and so now people can't think rationally. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, and then you say this kid walked right by police. Now here come the right wingers. Yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter what you see. Like, it's dyed in the wool. That's it. You're gonna go with it, and we've been collectively brainwashed by the powers that be, and now it doesn't really matter who wins now. It doesn't matter, because they clearly, they both have the same agenda. That's obvious. You know, Biden's telling us, hey, nothing's going to change very significantly. You know, told all his Wall Street buddies nothing's really going to change. Trump is talking about relieving capital gains taxes so that we have less, you know, social programs to help people. Like, they're the same person. So it's like, it doesn't even matter at this point. You know what I mean? Like, but they're all in their mansion, they're all chilling, and none of them are worried about diddly squat. So, I mean, Biden doesn't look like he's worried about anything ever anyway, but you get my meaning. So this was a really good song. I was really, really surprised about how aggressive the song was.
Yeah, I was too.
Like, you're not worth the blood in your veins.
Yeah, and then there was something about the mud. Where is that? Right there.
Yeah, that was a brutal line.
Yeah.
While you hide in your mansion while the young people's blood flows out of their bodies and is buried in the mud.
Man, that was a tough line.
Subhanallah. That's so bad.
Yeah.
That's so bad. And then verse 5 also, like, you've thrown the worst fear that can ever be hurled, fear to bring children into the world. You know, threatening my baby unborn and unnamed. So, I mean, it's just like, bang, one thing after another after another. Really, really good song. Really good song. Be careful how you post and what you say. And, I shot a Middle America video a couple of days ago on the chat side, on the Facebook portion, and I was like, there's just a couple dudes, I'm like, I don't like y'all at all, but I have to learn to like you and overlook a bunch of stuff, because we're in too much trouble now to be
we need
so
to focus
fractious.
on unity and
Yeah. So I'm giving the song a 10, and I like the rhythm of the song. I like the melody. It's getting a 10 for me.
9.8.
There you go. Shout out to Bob Dylan. Rest in peace to the big homie.
And did we say who asked for the song?
I don't know.
Armando?
Well, it says brought to you by Armando here.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Big out.
3 out.
Gone.